Let's talk about Rondale Moore, Arizona Cardinals. They didn't lose any meaningful targets via the boot in the offseason so far. I think Andy Isabella is gone. He was irrelevant. They did, however, add A.J. Green. That might not be the most relevant thing, but it could definitely hinder a guy like Rondale Moore in his rookie season. We're still waiting to see if Larry Fitzgerald retires. Who knows? He could return. But look, the same thing can be said about Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. When you have a rushing QB, it really limits the upside of all of the other offensive weapons that surround them. With that being said, I think Kyler has the best arm of the three, in my opinion, and that's a discussion for another day. I'm just kind of addressing it to start the question. So do you take a flyer on a guy like Rondale Moore late in your draft and see how the first 3 weeks pan out, or are you going to be one of those guys who pick him up on the waiver wire, week 7, week 8, when you realize this guy is something and now I'm taking a shot on him? Jacob, I'll start with you.
So we're talking Rondale Moore in Arizona. I'm not too high on this guy, and it's not his talent. It's just the situation. I don't really trust a wide receiver outside of Hopkins in Arizona. I guess Kyler's only played 2 years, but how come nobody, ever flourished or just claimed that secondary role? Christian Kirk was so up and down, so inconsistent. So I don't think, and maybe that's, not fair, but I think he's getting drafted really high, to be honest. Like, I've done a rookie draft and I saw Rondale Moore and Elijah Moore go way higher than I thought they should. And I'm just staying away from both of those guys. But so to me, I'm not a huge, Kyler Murray as a passer fan, and I don't like the second wide receiver role there.
Two things. One, I think out of all of the wide receivers, of the rookie wide receivers that landed in bad spots, Rondale Moore is the best wide receiver who landed in a bad spot. Second, yes, I kind of touched on it with Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. It's like these guys who run, they likely only have that wide receiver one option. That's why you don't see a guy like last year. That role wasn't really carved out because it was eaten up by the running game and Kyler Murray's rushing ability. Obviously, he had the shoulder injury halfway through the season. When he came back, he didn't rush at all practically. So maybe that changes things. Maybe they want to keep him healthy, keep him in the pocket a little bit more. That opens the door for a guy like Rondale Moore. But still competing for targets on a team that's led by DeAndre Hopkins, I don't see any relevance here in year one. Maybe down the road, A.J. Green retires, Larry Fitz retires. Next year could be 100% different for Rondale Moore and his outlook. This year, not so much at all. Joe, Damon?
The only reason that I'd be interested in Moore is if he starts the season and just operates in a slot. Because
that can be possible.
That's it. Just you have Hopkins and Green on the outside and him just running around in the slot. Besides that, it doesn't excite me. I'm not going to take him. Yeah,
I agree with you. Joe? We ready to move on?
Larry Fitzgerald's not officially retired yet, boys. He's coming back.
That's what I just said. I said, I don't know if he's retired.
Not you, but everybody I see outside talks about him like he's gone. And he very well, maybe. But if he's back, then Moore is the fifth wide receiver. And I get it. Arizona Cardinals ran more 4 wide receiver sets than any team out there. But they still have Andy Isabella. They still have a couple of other guys. I don't see this guy being a factor whatsoever year one, even with or without Larry Fitzgerald. I hope I'm wrong. He seems like a good kid, seems like a good player. But, actually, I hope I'm right because I hate the Cardinals. But I just don't see it, man. I'm not in on this. Again, 4 or 5 guys down the list that I'd much rather have than him. I don't.
Like, he's going at the top of the second round in rookie drafts, and that's way too high for him.
Listen, the idea behind that, and I see it, is like, dude, is Terrence Marshall going to win me a championship this year? Probably not, right? Is Rashad Bateman going to win me a championship this year? Probably not. So I'll take Elijah Moore. I'll wait. A.J. Green retires at the end of this year. Christian Kirk goes and signs another contract. Hopkins is gone in a few years. And now I have maybe Kyler Murray's first option. I don't know. I'm just saying I can see like the logic behind it.
I think that's probably what people are banking on.
Yeah. And if you're not talking super flex, then those quarterbacks, at least behind Trevor Lawrence, they fall.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't think we're going to see that in our super flex league where probably 4 or 5 quarterbacks get taken easily before this guy.
The hype for Rondale Moore is certainly something that we can talk about next year. Let's move on to Joe. Now I'm kind of nervous to say this because I think you really like him too, and that's my favorite wide receiver prospect out of this rookie class, Elijah Moore, wide receiver for the New York Jets. He is without a doubt the best slot receiver in this draft class by far. And although just rumors as of right now, there are signs that Crowder could be out the door via trade or via free agency very, very soon here if he is released. Even if he's not released, I still love the youth and the explosiveness of Moore. There's one thing against him. He's got a rookie quarterback and he plays on a bad team. But there's also one plus against him is he plays for a rookie quarterback and he's on a bad team. It literally goes hand in hand. And I'd rather have Elijah Moore in the slot, getting passes from a team that's down a lot from a rookie QB. I love it. I love his outlook. I love everything about him. I think he has the highest potential in this draft class to finish, well inside the top 20. Probably, okay, that was hype getting to me. But I think he can definitely be a top 25 wide receiver for sure. Give him the ball, put him to work, get him in the slot, get him in a screen pass. I love everything about him. Joe, piggyback off of what I'm saying because I know you're feeling it.
Man, I love everything about this Jets team.
Dang it, dude.
I love everything about this Jets team. First of all, it starts
Don't
at
hype
the
him
top.
up, bro. I'm taking him. You're not taking him.
It starts at the top, boys. It starts at the man, Robert Saleh himself. And then it goes down to LaFleur, who they brought over for the 49ers. And I can't tell you how many times I've mentioned that on this podcast. This team is going to be better than you expect. Their defense is going to be a top 10 defense. I guarantee it. Their offense is going to be better than you expect. This team is going to finish with 7 to 8 wins in a team that you might expect to finish with 2 to 3. And listen, you might say 7 to 8 wins is nothing special. Kyler Murray in his first year didn't have 7 to 8 wins, right? He had 5 or 6. So I think that this team is going to outperform a lot of expectations. And I love the fit. Corey Davis comes in, a man that proved it last year. And he was a top pick. He can show these guys the way. Denzel Mims didn't really get a ton of opportunity, but he's a big guy. And now what do you do? Like you said, you bring in the number 1 slot receiver. And I just love it. Like, can you ask for a better situation? This is my AFC team. This is my AFC. I mean, it was as soon as Robert Saleh went there.
Damn, over the Dolphins?
I mean, listen, the Dolphins are because my girl, right?
Yeah.
And I like Tua. But I like Robert Saleh. That was my guy. And I like Wilson. And I like Mims. And I like Corey Davis. And I just like what they're doing. Michael Carter. I think this team is going to have some explosive fantasy games. It's going to be a whole different story from what we've seen the last 3-4 years where it's like, dude, don't take anybody on the Jets. Doesn't matter who. Not their starting running back, not their number 1 wide receiver, not their quarterback. You're not touching them. I think it's different this year. I think I like all of these guys. And I'm not sure which wide receiver is going to end up having fantasy value. But in a dynasty draft, I love Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
For all things you just mentioned, let's throw in a shout out to goingfor2.com. My new article is out, and I say all those same things about the New York Jets. I think they're amazing. I think the culture that they're establishing there behind Robert Saleh is something to turn the tides for sure in New York. Jacob, Damon, how are we feeling about our new friend, Elijah Moore? He's
I
gonna
like
eat.
him. I like him in Dynasty, but for redraft purposes, he operates in the same slot that Crowder. Crowder's going to eat up a lot of those slot routes.
And you're right. He is still there as of this point, and he very well could be there
Isn't
at the
he
start
a
of the
June
season.
1st casualty? Isn't that what they're saying? I thought I
Yeah.
heard that.
He very
if-
well could be cut. But what
if
I'm
he's
saying
cut, then yeah.
is,
all
even
day.
if he's there, I think that this team is going to be working towards next year, even if they're competitive this year, and they're going to get Elijah Moore to work very quickly to establish that connection and that
But,
rapport.
Yeah, I
with
mean,
Wilson.
true.
Jacob,
So, is there anybody from the Jets saying that Crowder is a possibility to get cut?
yes,
Because
that's what all the
It's-
rumors are saying.
But people from the Jets are actually saying that.
I mean,
Who
dude,
knows?
I think
The
it's all
Jets- It's
speculation.
people from New York in general, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone in New York.
Because
just
I heard
hates
the
team.
day
They're all saying it.
after the draft, the day after Elijah Moore was drafted, all I hear is, "Oh, they're going to cut Crowder. They're going to cut Crowder." And it was just people speculating. So I think that snowballed into like people think it's reality now. Why would they cut Jamison Crowder? You want to supply? I mean, unless it's
Because
a
you owe him a
financial
lot of
thing.
money too.
If it's
Keep that in mind.
financial thing, I understand it. But you want to provide your rookie quarterback with, the most comfort possible. What better than a veteran slot receiver that can just honestly, Crowder's underrated, man. And I've underrated him every year. I never draft him, and he's always, people picking him off the waiver, starting him in their flex, and he shows up. So I don't think Crowder's out this year. And to me, the hype on Elijah Moore is a little too high as well. I can reassess and change my opinion once Crowder moves on. But as of right now, if we were drafting today, I'm not touching Elijah Moore. Probably not because I don't value him, is because people are going to take him ahead of me.
Well, listen, Jacob.
That's actually a really good point. Not that you don't value him, but that you think people are going to take him ahead of you. Joe?
Yeah. And listen, it's not necessarily that Crowder's going to get cut. I wouldn't anticipate him getting cut either because I think he's a valuable player. But
he's owed
think
$10.5 million.
And somebody might trade for him, right?
Yeah,
there's teams that could use a guy like that. Like maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Or the New England Patriots.
Or the Lions.
Or the Lions.
The Lions.
Yeah. Someone could use him. So it's almost like, dude, the writing's on the wall. It comes down to more than that. It may not necessarily be that they cut him. Jameson Crowder may say, dude, you just drafted my replacement. You just signed one
a lot
of the top
of these
receivers.
Team players like getting traded and cut is because teams are over the salary cap and they need to get under it, right? So are the Jets over the salary cap?
Well, it's not necessarily even that anymore because nowadays you can roll the cap over, right? So if they cut him and they save more money, next year they can spend more money. So it's very similar to what I think we saw the Dolphins, or I can't remember.
I mean, he's making a lot. Actually,
Colts.
I didn't realize how much he's making. He's making $11.4 million.
Yeah, he's making a lot of money. Again, if Crowder's there, I still think that he is worthwhile in Dynasty, and he is worthwhile in the later rounds of redraft leagues because I think this is a guy whose talent truly shines out. Injury concerns actually didn't plague him. They kind of just hindered and made him fall in the draft. He was more than capable of being a first-round pick this year, and he fell into whatever round he fell in. The first day of the second round. Literally the first pick, I think. So
I'll tell you what, I like him in Dynasty way more than redraft, for sure. Yeah, I think we all agree on that.
Because as mentioned, just like we've done on the last couple of weeks, we're going to re-rank probably the top 5 or 6 guys for both redraft and Dynasty. Before we do that, we're going to touch on 2 more guys here, probably 3, but we're going to just run through them really quick. Terrence Marshall of the Carolina Panthers. Listen, there's already established wide receivers out there in DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson that offense runs primarily through CMC when healthy. With that being said, I think this is a guy that you can definitely consider next year. Anderson is on the last year of his contract. This was definitely a next year type of move. They took the best player available in Terrence Marshall, knowing he could be a potential superstar next year. I don't think they re-signed Anderson. With that being said, I don't know. We'll have to see. Also, there's a lot of questions. I want to see how Darnold does in year 1 without Adam Gase. I don't want to draft him and see how that happens. I'd rather just wait because I know that he's going to be way more valuable next year than this year. I'm going to hand it off to one of you guys. Jacob, what about you?
Terrace Marshall is the guy I'm highest on compared to his.
I'm glad I handed it off to you.
Compared to his ADP in redraft or dynasty. As soon as I started doing all my research and stuff, I just was like, why isn't this guy ranked higher? And I know he had an injury, so that probably has to do with it. But also, he was the 3rd target at LSU.
For Burrow, yeah.
For Burrow. And he still performed well. So imagine if he was the number 1. And look, he was kind of the number 1 in 2020 because Chase didn't come back. There was no more Justin Jefferson. And he performed well. So I like this guy. I mean, look, you guys, it's no secret. I like big wide receivers. I just think that, and it's not just like there's more good small wide receivers than there are good big wide receivers. So it kind of doesn't make sense, right? But when you can get in a very talented guy who has the size, then they can have more success with their size. So I just like Terrace Marshall. I like him in Dynasty a lot because next year there's a possibility that Robbie Anderson is not there, but maybe not because didn't Robbie Anderson play for the coach in college and they have a relationship? So I could see him staying there. But even if so, I could see Terrace Marshall surpassing Anderson, becoming the number 2 there next year. And I'm high. I've been pumping in the Sam Darnold train ever since he was traded to Carolina. I'm super high on him compared to where other people are. So Terrace Marshall Jr., I wish I was in a position to draft him in like our dynasty league. I'm not. I don't have a second round pick until pick 20. So he's not going to fall that far, but I love this guy. I don't like him more than Chase and Smith, but I like him a lot.
I'm glad you love him, and I'll probably try to make a trade for him next year because you'll be sad that he wasn't good this year, even though you know that his outlook. So I'm glad that you're smart about that. Kadarius Toney of the New York Giants. Listen, Ingram, Rudolph, Benjamin, he's not going to make the team, but those are just the tight ends. Then you got Golladay, Shepard, and Slayton. Another situation where there are just an overwhelming amount of weapons. Toney can certainly find himself a role. However, the only way, and honestly, to be quite honest with you guys, this might be a guy that I would take a flyer on, probably maybe even a 7th and 8th round pick. I would definitely pick this guy up for one reason and one reason only. And that's because nobody on this roster can stay healthy at any given time. And if one of these guys goes down, it's likely that someone else is following them. And in a situation like that, I want a guy like Kadarius Toney because then he becomes instantly a competitor for targets and he can truly shine. If everyone's healthy, which I don't think is going to happen, possibly right off the bat, then I'm not really touching him. But you can best believe if Kenny G goes down, Shepard's kneeling with an ankle issue or something like that, I'm taking Kadarius Toney with a lot of fab because I'm interested in him when I see the value there. He's buried on the depth chart right now. Damon, what are you feeling?
I like his raw talent, but my worry with this guy is Daniel Jones.
Everyone's worried.
Yeah, so he's raw talent. He's 6 foot 193. He runs a 4.4. Like all that is good, but his route running isn't the best. And Daniel Jones, I just don't see him getting him the ball, just throwing more interceptions, trying to target this guy. And that's if somebody gets hurt and he's on the field, which is going to take time. There's no way I'm going to draft somebody who's waiting on an injury, and then even when he gets to the spot, the quarterback can't give him the ball.
Yeah, I have to pass this off to Joe because I saw him smirk a little bit. I know we only had time for one guy per player. Joe, you got any thoughts?
No, I was talking about what I wrote in the chat, which is
okay, well then hold on.
Wait, but Kadarius Toney, you guys know he has a rap career, right? He's
sure,
young.
so does Darren
I
Waller.
like him even less.
Really?
I'd rather
That's even less.
Bro,
I like him even less.
Hey, his concern was that he's not as focused because he's focused on his music career.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm just gonna say I think the Giants way overdrafted him. Not that he's not talented. They didn't need him. Is all I'm gonna say.
Why did?
Well, they were apparently very upset that the Eagles traded up to get.
They were going to
Austin
take,
Smith.
but the Giants put it out there that they were going to take Smith, and the Eagles were like F that and jumped in front of them and took him.
It's called playing within the division, baby.
I guess that, and they were mad at that. The Cowboys also in the division is the ones that traded up. So
a lot of canoodling going on there.
Yeah. So I'll just go in with my guy, guys. Amari Rodgers.
Yeah, Amari Rodgers is the last guy on the list, by the way. Wide receiver for the Detroit Lions.
No. That's Brown.
Amon St. Brown. Wait,
I want Amari Rodgers.
You just skipped ahead? Hold on, man.
He said,
okay.
I don't want.
We'll touch on Amon St. Brown really quick. Wide receiver for the Lions.
We're on one guy.
Listen,
we ain't got time.
Williams, Hawkinson, Swift.
Wait, hold on. All right, Joe wants to talk about Rodgers. I'll go 10 seconds on amon-ra after he's done.
Yeah.
Fine, go.
Amari Rodgers.
The chaos on this show. Goodness gracious.
Out of, I think, almost everybody, Chase Smith and maybe Elijah Moore aside, actually probably not even Elijah Moore. Amari Rodgers has the most potential, right? If Aaron Rodgers re-signs, which I expect him to, I think that this is going to get worked out. There's no chance that there's really a solid number 2 on that team that's really ahead of him day one, right? I mean, we know that there's Devontae Adams, but who else is there? There's a bunch of guys that have been there for 2-3 years and never really made a career. And now you go out and finally get this man another wide receiver, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to show you should have done this 2 years ago. And he's going to turn this guy into a success. And he's quick, and he's fast, and he's a bulldozer. And I think that this dude is going to end up having maybe a top 3 fantasy wide receiver rookie first year. Like I said, after Chase and I like him next. So if Aaron Rodgers is signed, obviously, if Aaron Rodgers is gone, that changes the whole equation.
Oh, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if Aaron Rodgers is signed and you're going into your rookie draft, I don't think it's overdrafting him to take him over a bunch of those guys. I just don't, because Aaron Rodgers is a superstar, and there's way less competition there than any of these other situations, except possibly the Lions for Amon-Ra, right? But when you're talking about the Cardinals or the Rams or Seattle, some of these other teams that took wide receivers, they already have established threats. The Packers don't, other than Devonta Adams, but they have the best quarterback of the bunch. So that's easy choice for me. I love him. I hope he slips to me in redraft. And I don't have a late pick in Dynasty, so I probably won't be getting him. But whoever does, I think is going to get jammed.
Yeah, I think we're going off these guys based off their draft position, where they fell in the NFL draft. You know, Rodgers being a third-round draft pick later in the third round might have been overlooked, but I can't agree with you more on all of those points. If Rodgers is there, it's time that he has
He'll
a
be the number 3
solidified wide receiver too.
if this year if Rodgers is there.
Yeah, 100%. Any other note? Okay, fine. Jacob, you want to talk about Amon St. Brown of the Lions?
St. Brown. They don't make any other moves regarding wide receiver. He will be the highest targeted rookie wide receiver of all of these guys, in my opinion. And that's because Jared Goff throws the ball. He's not a runner like Jalen Hurts, and the Lions defense is going to suck, and they're going to be playing from behind all the time, and they're going to throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can bank it.
That's a great name.
I would love to book it down with you, but we gotta.
What about our boy Cephas, man? Cephas
St. Brown. Oh wait, I don't know.
Quintez Cephas from last year, 5th round pick.
They also have Perryman and Tyrell Williams. Man, come on, Hawkinson.
And
Swift,
one of Aaron Rodgers' boys, Geronimo Allison.
There's no weapons there.
Yeah, there's no weapons there. But listen,
Swift and Hawkinson, they're literally 1 and 2
that's
targets.
it. I agree right there. And
okay, fine. As wide receivers, I like Amon Brown more than I like Tyrell Williams. I think Perryman's the real sleeper on the real sleeper on this team. So, Jacob, we can work around.
I didn't say he's going to be the best fantasy wide receiver. He's going to be the most targeted. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, if we see it, book it down. We'll touch on it. Any other guys on this list before we close out today's show? Oh, actually, we got to rank them first. De'Ami Brown, Washington. You know what? Fitzpatrick, very, very known for hyper-targeting his wide receiver ones. That's good for McLaurin. That's why we all love him this year. So we'll kind of have to wait and see. Another guy that I kind of saw myself questioning was Nico Collins out of Houston.
If Deshaun Watson plays, Nico Collins is going to blow it up.
Not only that, but even if he doesn't play, Tyrod Taylor, so you might have a guy like Davis Mills in there. And Brandon Cooks, often injured. There's really no one else. Kuki Kuti, also injured often. So you might see a guy like Nico Collins.
Cooks is still going to be the number 1, but I like Nico Collins a lot.
And that's kind of what
you know why you like him?
Because he's a big wide receiver. But man, can you tell me if Deshaun Watson was starting week 1, obviously Brandon Cooks is going to be the number 1 wide receiver. Who's going to be the second?
Hey, if Deshaun Watson is starting week 1, Nico Collins might be the number 3 this year.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So him and Amari Rodgers, they have it just
more
depends,
potential
right?
than the rest of these guys,
they go into the top 5 if their quarterbacks are playing.
And I've also heard De'Ami Brown was underdrafted in the draft.
Yeah.
I don't love it just because they have a tight end, 2 running backs to catch the ball, and we know their 2 starting wide receivers, Curtis Samuel and McLaurin, are good. But it's Dynasty, I like him. I would take a flyer on him for sure because I've heard a lot of good things.
Very true. Very true.